hit the big time. 1 month later. Jemima pulled out into the heavy Sydney traffic on the motorway to the west, her Audi sports car making a muted roar. For some reason, she always felt as though she had to impress her big brother Liam, and he'd certainly been impressed with her new car when she'd picked him up from the international airport. He'd looked tired and had quickly fallen asleep. When he'd woken up as she turned onto the Golden Highway, he'd been ready to chat, and they talked non-stop as they headed for Dubbo. She was still finding it hard to believe that they had both dropped everything and headed home to the Outback at Gran's request. The accident really changed our lives, didn't it? I think of everything as before and after, Jemima said with a sigh as she drove by the golden fields of wheat. Me too, Liam said as they had to slow down behind a cattle truck. The smell of cattle seeped through the vents. At this rate, we won't be there until almost dark. But it'll be good to be home for a while. You still think of it as home? Funny, so do I, Jemima said. They were quiet for a while as she concentrated on the road, each lost in their own thoughts. Jemima took in a deep breath. Ah, the smell of the country. I've missed it. Have you been out here lately? No, she shook her head. This is the first time since the funeral, and I'm a bit nervous. Don't worry, you're not Robinson Crusoe. 3 hours later, Jemima cursed and fought for control as the Audi slipped from left to right on the wet road. A light shower had turned the 6-kilometre stretch of dirt road between the main Spring Downs Road and Prickle Creek Farm into a slippery track. It took them more than half an hour to get to the gate of the property, and when the red and green sign appeared on the fence, she pulled over. I'd forgotten how far down the road the farm was, but it still looks the same, doesn't it? It does. I feel about 18 again. Prickle Creek Farm. Liam read the words on the sign before he turned to her. Why did you stop? Because I need confidence and war paint. He huffed an impatient sigh when she reached for the makeup bag on the floor of the back seat and proceeded to make up her face before brushing her long blonde hair and pulling it up with a clip. She finished off with a bright red lipstick and a light spray of perfume. God, Jemmy, I'll stink too. Give it a break. Jemima, and it's Chanel No. 5. She looked at him as she started the car again. Liam shook his head. Do women really think that stuff makes a man look twice? I'll button it, Liam. Jemima took a deep breath. If you want the truth, I'm nervous as hell about going home. I can hide behind it. Jemima Smythe, aloof model who doesn't do emotion. Liam grinned at her. Well, if you did, I think your face would crack with all that gunk on it. For that, he copped a punch on his upper arm. We're not all as confident as you are. And don't even think about saying a word of that to Gran or Lucy, Jemima said. Don't worry, sis. We're all in this together. Solidarity, okay? Despite his teasing, Jemima knew her brother was also nervous about coming home. Why had they all jumped to Gran's summons so readily? From all over the world. Maybe it was because she'd never asked them for anything before. Maybe it was because they wanted a new start in life. Solidarity, she murmured quietly.